So it's the third Saturday in June. We're here every third Saturday. It's like 150 degrees outside, so as you can see, I'm a little less dressed today. Got on my flip flops, no makeup. Sometimes you just gotta go natural. I do have on eyelashes though.
Right, those are those brand name eyelashes.
No, they're not.
Oh,
what was it? Blink like a ML?
Blink like a
Monkey.
right now.
Anyway, so of course today I have one of my favorite friends here to have a conversation with, and we like to have discussions about relationships and relationship related topics. And I always like talking to a guy because when you get two women together talking about relationships, they just like, women shouldn't take advice from other women. So you can't say that about this show or any relationship show I do actually, because all of them are with men. So nice. You get the male perspective. Well, you know what? So I grew up with my dad, and me and my dad had conversations about relationships when as I got older, he told me different stuff. Mm-hmm. So it seems natural to have those conversations with a man to me, because that's just what I grew up with.
Nice. I was blessed to have both parents had those conversations.
Well, I had both parents,
the conversations with dad were fit the situation, right? You're comfortable having conversations with
I had both of my parents, but my mom just didn't really have those kind of conversations with me. She told me not to have sex, and that was pretty much all she told me. That didn't work.
It never does.
That didn't work. My dad told me more realistic stuff, so I guess that's why I just tend to lean toward men for conversations on that topic. Awesome. So what you talking about today?
So today, what I would like to do is a deep dive into the popularity and impact of the gender wars versus the popularity and the impact of more positive and or would be considered healthy conversations about romance, dating, relationships, and marriage.
Oh, and right on time comes
time.
our third party to this conversation. So now we're going to have to tell him again.
He was part of the deep dive situation.
Okay, so here we go. Come on. We're waiting on you. Watch out for the cords. And I'm going to have y'all to tell us this topic again. Little Missy right here going to have to scoot over one way or another. How we scoot her over, Ken?
That was keeping the seat warm for you.
Okay. Yeah, so the lady of the house is coming to get the princess of the house. She likes to be on camera. And if you didn't notice this.
Oh, Lord. Glad you know.
People, there we go. This is reality.
She's at home, folks, so
we just get together and have some conversation.
Where you want to be, so.
And true to what I just said,
Welcome,
I like to have relationship discussions with men. So now I'm right here in the. Look at this, Ebony and Ivory.
I'm Ebony. He's Ivory. I don't identify.
I like that is.
It's light complexion. Everybody knows me know this. I identify as hot chocolate.
I'm pretty chocolate right now, but that's due to Punta Cana. I'm not normal.
That's what I was about to say. Give me a couple more weeks, I'm gonna be darker than Khalid around here.
That's it.
So I was just sharing with Xavier what I wanted to talk about today, and what I want to do is I want to take a deep dive look at the popularity and impact of the gender wars versus the popularity and the impact of more positive and or what would be considered healthy conversations around romance, dating, and relationships. So my first question to both of you is, because I know everybody's social media is curated, whether it's intentional or not, right? You accepted those people or you chose to follow those people. And so would you guys say that you see more gender war type posts and interaction on your social media? And are those the ones that you see with the most engagement? Or have you curated a news feed that has more positive and or healthy conversations around dating, relationships, and romance?
I'll let you go first.
Oh, okay. All right. So I've been talking about the topic of relationships for over about 25 years, right? I started off with Art Sims at the relationship.
Oh, yeah. Chat Daddy.
Right. Late 90s. And I learned early on that for people of color, that's always our hot topic, right? And then, as both of you all know, I'm in private practice. And then right now I have 15 male clients All 15 of my male clients are in therapy for relationship issues, which I think it really surprises people when they hear. So men are very serious about relational issues as well.
Okay.
But we always think that it's more so a woman issue,
That is
but it's not. So what happens is I've seen the relationship wars going on, especially with people of color, to the point where 11 years ago, and you were one of my honorees, and our host Karen, I made every Sunday I do Sister of the Week.
Okay.
The reason why I do Sister of the Week is to showcase beautiful Black women, everyday Black women, because I kept seeing Black men on social media talking about Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted Black women to know, at least for me, I love you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to praise you, and I'm going to uplift you. And I'm not your enemy. Because for me, it's heartbreaking to hear Black women say, we are the most unprotected women in the world. Not on my watch. And then I often talk to men, and even last night I did a radio segment on WBON talking about relationships and men, and I profess and confess that I'm protective of women, right? And also that men have to hold the mirror up to see what our challenges, what our faults are, and how we've created partially this relationship war with our women. So for me, I want to be proactive because I want all of us to win.
And so is that what you see on your newsfeed coming through? Your newsfeed is probably more positive with relationships simply because of where you speak from.
Yes.
My newsfeed is extremely mixed. I have, because I talk to so many different people about so many different things. So it's extremely mixed. I have a few guys on there that are definitely from the manosphere. And, you know, I hear them say all kinds of craziness. And usually I just ignore it until I just want to say something.
Okay.
And so when I say something, when I go into that platform with them, I make sure that whatever I say is absolutely logical, which I'm kind of logical anyway, and it's not something that even sounds remotely emotional. Because as soon as you become human, because you may be offended by being stereotyped all the time, you know, Black women this. Well, I'm a Black woman, and maybe I don't ascribe to whatever this is that you're talking about, but when you, and I see it happen in real life.
Right.
When they see me as a Black woman, I'm just judged just from Jump Street. You know, what am I wearing? Where am I at? You know, all of that stuff. I'm just completely judged from Jump Street. Like yesterday, I was, y'all know I went to see Charlie Wilson yesterday.
Okay.
Charlie.
Finally, I got to see him. So I get there early because y'all know I get everywhere early. And so I planned to eat. So I went to that steak place in Horseshoe.
Okay.
Oh my God, the potatoes are delicious. And that halibut was good too. But anyway, so this guy was there. And so he kind of flirted a lot. I was going to say he didn't overly flirt, but every time he talked to me, he had to, you know,
he was touching
he
you.
kept touching me, you know,
Okay.
and I'm just like, he touching me. So, and then, you know, but so I ordered what I wanted, right? And so it happened to be the special. And when they said, you know, the halibut was $55, you know, I was like, ooh, I love halibut, you know. And so he started talking about halibut too. So I ordered the halibut. But I noticed, this is how I felt. I felt like he anticipated I was going to expect for him to pay for me. I have a thing with that because of the manosphere and everything that they say. So I have this real thing. Anytime a band is around, I feel like they automatically think I expect them to pay for me. Which even if he had offered, I would not have it because I don't know who the heck he is. You know, and he does do catering, but so you might see him at my birthday party if his food is good. I'm gonna do a tasting.
Nice.
But even when we were talking about business, he kept saying, "Well, you know, brisket is another level, you know, and if you want to do a tasting, you know, that's not free." You know, he kept saying things like that, and so I'm slightly offended while he touching me that, you know, he keep making all of these remarks toward that's not free and that's expensive. Like I'm sitting up in here minding my own business, you know, and because I ask you about something and you assume, you know, some financial stuff. It's that whole stereotypical thing. So I have those people on my timeline, but then I have more positive. You're on my timeline. You're on my timeline. I have some other people that just kind of, you know, Okara's on my timeline. You know, people who kind of just throw questions out there to attempt to make you think.
Yes.
You know, and so I can't say I have probably other than you, but then you also do that all men cheat thing. So that just kind of blows everybody too. So I can't say that I have a super positive news feed, but I think I have a bit of a balance. It's probably 60-40, and that 60 would probably be on the side of the war.
Awesome, awesome. So mine is curated as well, but even with that, because I love to get feedback from the world, I don't have a social media following. It's just people who will agree with me or people who I would agree with as well. So I think it's around the numbers you said, 60-40, maybe 65-35 gender war type posts as opposed to, you know, what are at least intended to be healthy and productive, positive conversations around relationships and romance. And so a few years back, Netflix did a documentary called The Social Dilemma, right? And so they interviewed the IT people who created the algorithms and basically built Facebook and how Facebook chooses. Absolutely. And so Stanford University is the only college in the world, at least at the time of the documentary, that had a combined psychology IT program so that they could use their understanding of the human mind as psychological warfare to keep people addicted to social media. So all the people who invented these algorithms and stuff, they don't let their kids have social media accounts. They have all these monitors and things on their phone. They don't play that at all, but they created it. And you know, a couple of the people confessed that when they were creating it, they didn't know how negative the impact would be. And so now they're part of, I forget the name of the not-for-profit, but it's surrounding responsible social media programming.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, they were showing the insides and outs of how they keep people going back and forth to their phone, that they use the GPS and where you are, and if one of your friends is close, they make sure they show you that post. But just truly just, you know, nothing is left up to chance. It is psychologically designed to keep people glued to their phones. And so they said that negativity keeps people glued to their phones.
Absolutely.
More than positivity, right?
Yes.
And so even if we've curated our news feeds to be 60, you said 60-40, I said 65-35. You were at, what were your percentages?
Positivity
Versus gender posts.
70-30.
70-30.
More positive or
More positive.
More
Okay.
positive. And so even with that, overall, statistically on social media, they're saying that the algorithm is designed to push the negativity more. That a person might see a positive post, hey, I support Black love, and they love that, and they keep going. And then somebody says, oh, these women today ain't nothing, and then they would go in and argue about that,
Right.
And go back and forth and exchange 7 to 8 comments. And so,
Yep.
so statistically, allegedly by this documentary and the people who designed Facebook and Instagram, that those are the conversations that are put in more people's news feeds. So it's a two-pronged thing, right? It's what you may jump into, but also what are they showing you more of, right? And so what I'm guessing with you with 730 is, one, you limited who you follow and who you allowed onto your social media, and then two, you know, the algorithm is struggling to show you more negativity than positivity based on how you curate it.
I think we buy into it. It's just like with the news.
Right.
Like, I don't watch the news. I can figure out what the weather is going to be. But, you know, people get caught, well, not figure out, but we got a weather app for that.
Right.
But, you know, people get caught up, and it kind of puts a negative energy when all you hear about is, like, over the past, we did our third Thursday event. On Thursday of this past week, everybody was late getting everywhere because we had a shooting on the highway. 5 people got shot, 3 people got killed. There was another side shooting somewhere. So traffic, the highways were shut down, everything was shut down. You know, it was just it was a truck accident. You know, while it's informative, it's also all of the negativity. They don't tell you, oh, the Wisconsin Black Chamber is about to give away $10,000 to a black business. They don't really, you know, inundate you with that.
Right.
But they definitely will let you know who got robbed, who got beat, who did they find burnt and cut up and stuffed in a garbage can. You know, all of that kind of stuff is right in our face all the time. So I think social media followed the whole thing just like the news. You know, and I think that we do feed off of that as humans for whatever reason. We want to know the dirt on everything. You know, give me the dirt.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. When I do a post, just something inspirational or motivational, 3 likes. But the minute I talk about P. Diddy or something that's pop culture, 500 likes.
More sensationalized.
Absolutely. So we do feed on it.
I can post something positive and it'll get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But let me post a picture. If I post a picture, I got friend requests coming. I got all of this stuff going on. You know, it's just it's crazy the things that, you know, it's either sex or it is negativity. Those are the things that draw us in.
Absolutely. And so for me, I feel responsible for my romantic life. I feel 100% responsible for my romantic results, right? Because I have the ability to attract what I want, and then I certainly have the ability to choose or not choose what I attract. And so if it doesn't work out with me and a young lady, my mindset is that I didn't choose correctly. I look at how I may have operated incorrectly, but ultimately it's my responsibility. That I don't think the solution, I've never thought the solution to my romantic challenges was to convince all women to change. Right?
And that is what, that seems like what it is. It's like a brainwashing. Like, let's convince the women that they need to lower their standards and settle for whatever comes their way and be happy about it.
And the flip side of that is women are trying to convince men that they should be follow all of the old school traditions that benefit women, even though many women are making many modern choices right now. So I think it works both ways.
I don't think a lot of the traditional stuff benefited women that much.
Well, the big gender war topic is men paying all the bills, right? And how soon they're willing to invest financially. So things have gotten so far along that there are some women out here who you have to cash app them to inbox them to talk to them, right? That
I have a friend that showed me
that this is where we are. And so even in your situation, the gentleman thought that you were expecting him to pay your bill, even though y'all
financially
you didn't come there together. So he got that from
and I can't even remember his name.
right. So he got that from somewhere. But at the same time, like you said, he was being all
very
touchy and feely. And so with that, you know, is an indicator of what everything that I see is that people are quicker to look at the other person and what they're doing than they are to look at themselves. And apparently people think it would be easier to change an entire gender as opposed to changing themselves. And so how do you relate your relationship experience and romantic experiences and your results, Khalid, if you don't mind sharing?
No problem. So folks who know me, and I've been very open to this, I have a buddy with benefits.
Okay.
And at the time I gave it that title, I didn't know that it was such a negative connotation to that term, buddy with benefits. And that, because I took it as this is somebody who's like my friend, but I get the extraordinary benefits of being romantic with this person. So I took the term literally, but I was educated by women, because I'm friends with a lot of women, that Khalid is a negative to us women, because what it tells us is that you get to have girlfriend benefits, but just be her male friend, right? And I said, and I can see that. So then I had to shift to say, We are companions.
But it's only a negative to women who don't want that type of situation.
Correct.
Everybody wants different things in life. And that's one of the things I hate about the whole relationship thing, is because it's like everybody think that everybody wants the same thing.
Correct.
You know, you may want a friend, I call it a friend with benefits. You might want a friend with benefits.
Correct.
I might not want a whole relationship. I don't want you asking me no questions. When I get home, this is when I get home. You don't need to ask me where I've been. I just call you and be like, what you doing?
What you doing? Absolutely.
Coming over?
And it got to the point because I've never felt judged that much before. And these are the people who are my good friends, who know my character, who know that I'm romantic. I'm
judging you right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm like, wow,
I
come
was
on,
happy
people.
for you actually, because I feel like you are very traditional, and
Yes.
you know, just like so straight, do the right thing.
Correct.
You know, not that it's the wrong thing, but I was happy when I saw you branch off to have your needs met.
Correct.
And not being put into a jar or whatever. You know, like this is what you got to do because you're college. You got to be straight and this, that, the other. And it's not like it's crooked.
Absolutely.
It's just fulfilling the needs that you have at the moment.
Correct.
And a friend with benefits does not necessarily mean that it could not at some later point develop into something else.
Correct. But see, what happens is we get stuck.
Mm-hmm.
People get stuck, or they'll look at their experiences with that type of scenario and like bad. Even when I took the time, family, to tell people this was agreed upon on our first interaction, right? And one of the things was we're both busy. I'm in private practice. I work for the government during the day. She was working on a PhD and she's a principal. We're both divorced. We're both empty nesters. So this worked well. Right. And again, she agreed upon it, right? But that wasn't good enough. And so I did a check-in with her 6 months into it. And I said, Tanya, I'm getting a lot of feedback.
You might not should have said her name.
She doesn't mind.
Oh,
I've used her name on other podcasts.
Okay, all right.
And what happened, right? And she was like, Khalid, if I didn't agree upon this, you would know it. Get your friends out of your head.
Yes.
When I don't want this, that's when it's not going to happen.
I like her already.
I don't want to make it all about you, but I do have two questions in this moment that just come to me. One is, how long have you been, you call it companions now.
Yeah.
I don't want to use the negative term. How long have you been companions?
November will be 3 years.
November will be 3 years. Okay. And then two, have you ever advised any of your clients or the people on your page or even your beloved daughter to get into a friends with benefits type of situation if they thought that it benefited them and that they can handle it?
Yes. And so let me give you an example about Anaya, because that's how people try to stab me in my rib cage. They bring her up. So I said, Anaya, would you like to meet Miss Tanya? She was like, no, Daddy. I said, well, baby, me and her been together 2 years. Why wouldn't you want to meet her? She said, Daddy, she doesn't have a title. And so I said, thank you, God. And I hugged my daughter. The reason why I had that response is because I'm very clear what parents do. We role model in front of our children. And what she learned from this situation is, until a man gives me a title, I don't get full benefits.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'm glad she picked up on that. You know what I'm saying? And then I went on to explain to her, and because she knows why we're together and why we both opted for this type of option in our situationship, and she understands it. And so, but it goes back to kind of what you were saying. You got to learn to be comfortable. You can't worry about the naysayers because you're in this situationship or relationship, and that's all that matters.
And it's got to be something that both people want.
So did you take that as a stab in your ribs when I asked you if you would advise your daughter to do the same?
Not for you, but I know when people want to penetrate, they'll use a knife. They know that's the closest thing to me.
Absolutely.
Well, I would say that, everybody has duality, right? That nobody is, consistently the same way in each and every situation, no matter what. Duality exists. It just does. And so I wanted to give you the opportunity to explore that and to explain seriously, because as you said, that's these are some of the first things people are gonna say. Well, okay, you doing that? Would you advise somebody? Because of course, your love for your daughter is unconditional and it's from day one. We meet a woman, we grow to love them. But your daughter, before she got here, was on the stomach, in love, ready to run through a brick wall, kill, whatever you had to do to make that happen. And so, definitely just wanted to explore the contrast. Do you feel responsible for your romantic life and your romantic results?
Absolutely, because I'm in control of my life.
Okay.
So whatever I decide I'm going to put into it, whatever I decide I'm not going to put into it, there's anytime you're dealing with another human being, there's a level of reality that you really have to deal with.
Right.
And you have to know where they are and what they want as well. So I have been attempting to cultivate a friend with benefits situation.
Got it.
Right? Because I'm too busy for like the whole relationship thing and what men tend to expect from a relationship. I really don't have time to give all of that right now.
Okay.
And I'm really focused on other stuff, but I am human. And so I have a lot of really great life experiences going on, and I would love to have somebody to just share that with.
Yes.
So, down the road, I'm not just sitting there talking to myself like, you remember that time we went here? Yeah, but it's just me, right? I want to be able to call somebody and be like, we had a good time when we went to blah, blah, blah. And, we can have that conversation. So I want to share those experiences with someone, but I don't want all of the, I need to consider how you feel about different stuff. I need to, if you want to know where I'm going, or if you happen to have a problem with what I got on, I need to consider your thoughts and feelings and stuff. I'm not at that point yet where I got time to be considering somebody's thoughts and feelings and stuff. But so the person I've been trying to cultivate this with is a guy who is kind of black or white. He's either all the way in or he can only do a booty call kind of thing. Now, I'm not a booty call. You cannot call me up, and that's just it, when that's not what. So there's a difference between friends with benefits. Friends with benefits share different things, different experiences and stuff. You can travel, you can do all of those things together, and then just keep it as a friendship. But whenever, the itch happens, you can scratch it,
Yes.
So I've been trying to cultivate that. I'm still working on that, just like, let's just, so I'm working on just really developing the friendship part.
Yeah. Okay.
Because the chemistry is already there.
Yeah.
But whenever we kind of get to a certain point, I feel like he pulls back because I don't think he can disconnect his emotions. Like I said, he's kind of all in or all out.
Yes.
So then what I really have to come to terms with is I'm going to have to just really decide for myself, is this a person that I can even do this with if they can't be in that middle road and just kind of hang out there for a minute.
Got it. So I do want to circle it all back to social media because there's a reason why I asked both of you that. So it sounds like all of us feel responsible for our romantic results, which is probably why we're not making posts every other day.
Right.
Blaming it on other people.
Right.
Other people, right? And so, I'm not privy to everyone on my social media's private lives. So, but from the outside looking in, that's all I can do is make an educated guess based on what I see. Do you think that the majority of people take responsibility for their romantic results fully, or do they think it's at least 50-50 or maybe 60-40, 70-30 of what the other person is doing? Because right now, the trend is for some women, not all, maybe not even most, because I do know that the algorithm is showing me what it wants to, are saying that they could be better women and more in their feminine energy if men would do this and or that. So that lays the responsibility of their womanhood and their femininity at the feet of the men that they meet.
Let me comment on that one.
Yes, ma'am.
So here's how this plays out.
Mm-hmm.
When a woman is doing her own thing, because we all grown, we all got to have a place to live, we all got to eat, we all have things we want to do in life. Mm-hmm. And so if a woman is not sitting waiting for a man to come and do those things for her, unfortunately, then you get tagged with the masculine energy.
Mm.
And I don't know if men do that intentionally, because when you are doing that's why I said I don't know if traditional roles really benefited women a
Right.
lot, because it kept them in a position where they never felt like they did own their lives. Their lives were made to be given to whatever this man's whims were. So when you're doing all of that stuff for yourself, there's a level of ownership that you take for everything, because you are responsible for everything in your life at that point. So there is a level of ownership you take. So when the man comes along, you're not looking at, oh, he's a man, he's gonna save me. You're not looking at that. You're looking at what else can he add, if anything. You know, what you do look at, what is he bringing? And it's not financially, because you got that covered. And this is where it gets difficult, because men are so used to being like, okay, well, I'm this big bad wolf, I make this amount of money and I can run this and that and the other. But we're not looking for that. Some of us are not looking for that. If you bring that to the table, that's great. That's not your sales point. Because at this point, I'm a big bad wolf too. So I need you to show me that you can care, that you can be compassionate, that you can understand my feelings and what I need at different times. That when I come in from an event after wearing heels for 5 hours, let me just rub her feet.
Yes.
Are you sensitive and connected to those things? So that when women say, if a man would come in and do those other things, then that whole feminine side can come out. But if you just come in with, well, I'm this and I'm that, and I can pay the bills and I can do this and that and the other, well, me too.
Okay. So some things you said stood out to me right now. So we talked about womanhood and feminine energy, and one of the things you referenced was waiting for a man to save you. Do you correlate that with being feminine and or womanhood in any way?
I don't, because you don't need saving, but I correlate the fact that you can add that thing that I am missing. And I've thought this for a while. Paying the bills and stuff, anybody can do that, but only a man that's in tune with you can handle those deeper needs. And I feel like because tradition didn't really require men to do that, it just required you to pay the bills, and maybe be a good father, which sometimes really meant paying the bills.
Right.
So I feel like there's parts of men that were never developed or told that they needed to develop, because that wasn't what the traditional man was about. So I definitely don't relate being feminine to being saved. But in order for me to relax and become feminine, there's still needs that I have that will need to be fulfilled, and it's not financial.
Awesome. I don't want to get off topic, but something you said really struck me. I was just on WVON2 on Thursday. Shout out to Atiba Buchanan and Darlene Hill for having me it's normally every first Thursday of the month on their show on Thursdays to talk about relationships. But this year, how things landed, they talked about Father's Day or something on my week. And so I was on there this Thursday, and the topic was provision and what provision means. And so we talked about how sometimes people bounce from extreme to extreme, right? So if a woman deals with a man who wasn't providing financially and she carried some financial burden, then the extreme she's going to run to when she gets out of that relationship is to make sure if this man don't have nothing else, right, he has the ability to provide for me financially. But then when I was younger and less healthy and toxic, right, that the married women and women in relationships that I always attracted were the women who were being provided for financially, but no mental, spiritual, and emotional provision to them. And so that made them vulnerable to other men because they weren't getting that at home. And again, having not thought things through and overcompensating on the financial end, they totally missed the mental, emotional, and spiritual play. So what I wanted to ask Khalid is, because you pointed out that you and your companion are both very busy, and so do you find that her financial success and busyness weakens or dilutes her ability to be feminine, or are you having a different experience?
I have a different experience. So I'm very purposeful who I'm in a relationship or situationship.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely adore femininity in women.
Mm-hmm.
I demand it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not negotiable.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted somebody to be hard, I'll be in a relationship with another dude.
Oh.
My lady friend is from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Southern Belle.
Southern Belle to the point. And
Mhm.
she's a principal at a high school. And she was working on a PhD and she just graduated. When
Congratulations.
she comes to my house or when I go to her house, it's a meal ready for me. I've had to say, Tanya, I'll cook this weekend. She said, Khalid, cooking is my go-to to relax. I do not mind. Don't worry about it.
That's me.
The reason why I think of it like that is to be fair, but two, I used to hear her ex-wife say, man, you always want me to cook, even though I cleaned up the whole entire house. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, we work, and let me tell you this, we've been together almost 3 years. We've never had a disagreement or argument. Because it's something about when you give somebody a title, expectations tend to follow. And if you don't meet those expectations, that's where the combativeness comes from. See, from day one, we were on accord with each other. When we come and spend time from our busy week together, the idea is we provide comfort and joy. So people would ask me, well, Khalid, I don't ever hear you talking about y'all go out anywhere. Tanya, would you like to go out? No, Khalid, I like coming to your big, beautiful house and relaxing on this couch and looking at Netflix and chill.
And sometimes that's what you want to do.
And that's what she wants to do. So it's no more, and then we're both in our 50s.
Especially being around the kids all day.
Absolutely. And remember, I'm a social worker.
Yes, so you around folks with problems all day.
Absolutely. So that's why we work, right? So, and then also because we're busy, we have involved lives. So she's not dependent on me to fill in blanks. I'm not dependent on her to fill in blanks for me. We complement each other. And that's what I want people to hear. And to address y'all both the issues, because I was just listening to your conversation. That's why now when I'm working with my male clients, I work on emotional intelligence. Because having emotional intelligence, you're 50% emotional and 50% rational, right? And you know how to blend and marry the two. So it's none of that fighting. You know, I understand if you're in your emotional storm, I'm not meeting you with rational talk. I'm meeting you with emotional talk. And like, Xavier is going to be okay. Come on over here and chill. As compared to you hurting and I'm trying to fix your problem. I'm letting you talk to get it out. You see what I'm saying? And once we learn healthy ways of interacting, healthy ways of acting with each other and interacting with one another, that's when we'll start getting better results. Plus, throwing this out, and you know this is always my speech. Seeing 11 of my friends go through divorces in their 50s. Wow. And I was at their weddings when we were in our 20s.
Wow.
See what I'm saying? Some of them, I caught the garter belt. You know what I'm saying? So this is, we're in crisis. And we got to do something different now. So that's why my preaching, when I do these speaking gigs, relationship, how to make it better on both ends. Because it's both our responsibility.
It is.
To your point, and I don't know if you will agree or disagree, I'm not sure if expectations are so much as the problem as uncommunicated and unagreed upon expectations are the problem. Because it sounds like you have an expectation of your companion, but your expectations of her, it sounds like, is who she naturally is anyway, right? You chose correctly. So she doesn't have to adjust herself to a plea, right? That's compatibility, right? You
One-on-one.
You don't have to, I don't have to train you to be the woman I need you to be. I should identify the woman I need, right? And then there's, very little, if none at all, training that needs to take place.
Excellent point.
It is. And it takes me to just real quick what my dad used to tell me about like marriage. So you got so many people running around here, they want to be married. And that's their first thing. I want to be married. I'm dating with a purpose because I want to be married. And they make marriage that thing, and then they start trying to plug these people in because they want to be married. And my dad told me that's not what it is. He said, you don't walk around here wanting to be married and plugging people in. He said, you meet that person that makes you want to marry them. So the chick that you're dealing with, it sounds like you met that person that you wanted to do this with, that wanted to do it with you too.
Yes.
And that's the first step. People got to stop being, oh, I want to be in a relationship. No, you don't.
I really
You want to be in a
dabble into
relationship
that.
with the right person.
Because so many people are talking about dating with intention, right? And I subscribe to that and I don't subscribe to that, because I think that when you pre-decide things, you get yourself in trouble, right? Because you are looking at things through a certain lens. So right now, if you said you don't go looking for a wife, but right now there are many women, again, not going to say all or most because I don't have statistics, but certainly a significant number of women who are saying, if I talk to a man and he's not telling me he's trying to get married in that first conversation, we're done, right?
And he's lucky that she's done because she's trying to plug him in to her equation.
I agree with
And he
you
may not
100%.
fit.
I agree with you 100%.
You got to get to know somebody before you talk. How do I know in the first, the dude last night asked me, it was less than 30 minutes. And he told me something, and I said, I don't know about that. I'm going to have to reach. He said, you don't trust me? I said, I don't know you. You've been sitting here 15 minutes. No, I don't trust you. No.
Absolutely. So that concerns me, that people pre-decide, that when I meet even the most beautiful woman, I don't pre-decide if I want to have sex with her, because I've gone out with some fantastic looking women and then they started talking and their looks start diminishing with every word. On the way driving here, I was thinking about a time when I went out with a woman and I thought she was so supermodel fine. And 10 minutes into the conversation at the restaurant, I went to the bathroom and had to talk to myself in the mirror about not sneaking out and leaving her there. I'm like, this is going to ruin your reputation, Yachu. Just come back out, suffer through the dinner, and keep it moving. And the truth is, why I handled that way is because some years prior, I went out with a woman, and her conversation in the car made me turn the car around and take her back home. We never even made it to the restaurant. And 95% of the time before I would go out with a woman, I would have to have at least 3 to 4 significant conversations with them. And those few times where I did not follow the rules and just impromptu, I'm literally busting a U-turn.
That's one of the things, if you have any intellectual fortitude, you got to have somebody that you can talk to. Because otherwise, what you on a date for? You sitting there across the table from somebody and they just like, and, you know, that's...
Yeah, so I think looking for marriage prior to looking for the person you match up well with is putting the cart before the horse. And that's not saying you can't have the desire to be married, but if that is the lens that you're looking at everything through, then how will you really get to know this person? Because you're probably not trying to get to know this person. You're just trying to find out if y'all can get married.
Yep. How soon do you want kids? What side of town we gonna live on?
So that's definitely not exactly the same as wanting to get to know a person. So I'm such a curious George, right? I rather than disagree with people and fight with them about it, I like to just find out what motivates people and what's inspiring people. So some of the people who do subscribe very often to the gender wars, when I inbox them and say, hey, you can tell me none of my business if you want to, but I'm curious, and if you be so kind as to indulge me, why do you choose to do this with your platform? And the answer is always the same: monetization. This ain't how I feel, y'all too. I saw this meme, I saw this topic, and it was hot, and people was liking it and jumping on it, and I just copied and pasted it to my page because I know that I'm gonna get the same thing. And so social media, to a degree, incentivizes and rewards negativity. And now you have this whole society or percentage of the society of people that are making all of their platform decisions based on it moving towards monetization with no social responsibility. My parents were Black militants. My mother tutored all the kids in the neighborhood, helped them fill out college applications, get financial aid, scholarships. My father would load up the station wagon and take 20 kids to the beach, to the museum, to the park, trying to give them culture and give them experiences that they weren't getting. So I feel, because of that being my upbringing, I feel a responsibility to Black culture. Now, do I make all my decisions in life based on what's best for Black culture and ignore myself? Absolutely not. But certainly I am conscious of my impact on the world and my influence on the culture around me. And I try to make responsible decisions around that, which is why I refuse to participate in the gender wars. And I can even be honest, because, a lot of people can be exposed to something a lot and not be affected by it. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of those people. And so the gender wars got so bad at a point, I felt myself getting pulled into it. I felt myself getting frustrated by it. I felt it affected my relationship because the debate was continuing after I got off social media. So what do you think about what this person just said over here? And it wasn't until I was watching a show, I believe it was on HBO, about a therapist. And it was mostly about him and his clients, but then on the third season, they started touching into the dynamic between him and his wife, and he was going to therapy, of course, too. And he brought her in, and she started telling him how she didn't sign up to be in therapy, she signed up to be in a marriage, right? Mm-hmm. And she didn't sign up to be being psychoanalyzed all the time. She signed up for having a partner, and that really woke me up because I was new to some training and certification I had gotten to be able to counsel couples and things of that nature. And I was him. I was psychoanalyzing everything, and I'm sorry.
It's almost
put a woman in that position. I've gotten so much better. It was the realization. I didn't see. Everybody has blind spots. So until I saw it happening on the outside, I said, you know what I mean? And so for anybody who's really, really interested in relationships, there's a show on Showtime called Couples Therapy. And it's a real show. Real couples are coming in and talking to a real therapist, and she's going to a therapist, and in some cases a group of therapists, and getting feedback on her approach and how she could best help her clients. And so, man, in many ways it can be holding up a mirror to you, or it will just introduce you to challenges and issues and the causes of those issues that you never would have thought about. Because, of course, we all know that ultimately it stems from childhood.
Right? But people never want to acknowledge that. As you were saying about social media and it all being about monetization, I believe back in the day before we started doing live, you and I had a conversation about that dude. And one of the only, Kevin Samuels,
I got you.
One of the only videos of his I ever posted was before he really blew up. He was interviewed by some white guy, and he said that, he started out giving fashion tips, and that didn't work. Then he started out trying to counsel men, tell men what to do, and that didn't work. Right. His team told him that he needed to do something more controversial, more shock value, like Howard Stern and all of them. And that's when he started doing this. And he said on that interview, it's still somewhere on my page, of course, that if that didn't work, if this didn't work, then he didn't know what he was going to do because he had already, whatever he went to school for didn't work. Mm-hmm. So this was it. He had to make that work. Mm-hmm. So that whole thing, that was what disgusted me so much about it. Because had he been like even halfway genuine or sincere about what he was talking about, I may have at least viewed it a little bit different. But I knew that he was completely doing that for likes, for the money, and he made money. And that is, a lot of people saw that. There's a white girl on, I think she on YouTube or something. I don't know her name or whatever, but somebody showed her to me, and I'm just like, why are you watching this crap? Right. This girl's 20. What exactly does she know about relationships? I just want to know. But she was spewing out the venom that Kevin Samuels spewed, almost verbatim. And so now people are following the little 20-year-old white girl as she talks about how women are whatever.
Got it.
I don't want to make any assumptions. I think I'm the minority. I never developed into a Kevin Samuels fan, but I do realize that there are many men out here who felt like they could really relate to what he was saying and felt like he was speaking for them. So just out of curiosity, what was your take on the Kevin Samuels era?
Right. So as a clinician, you learn to decipher.
Right.
You learn how to chew the meat and spit out the bones, and you learn to differentiate. So I figured that he understood, because I heard the conversations he was having with men at first and how it morphed into his conversations with women. So I figured it was a reason why he switched over. Then also I'm a behaviorist. And I saw that if he was really detrimental to women, why was women his primary audience? So it was something that he said triggered, because we all have choices not to tune in. But it was something about his confrontational type of style that made people hold mirrors up to themselves. And like, even though it hurts, even though I don't like his presentation, he still had truth to it, right? And now they're showing his videos post his death. And now people are doing these aha moments. Man, that makes sense. I couldn't receive what he said then, but now that he's dead and gone and they're replaying these videos, he did speak the truth. It's just his presentation was
some
horrific.
of it was his presentation. Some of it was just baloney altogether.
Yeah, I got to push back.
Blessed not to have to see any more of those videos. And any woman that is having an aha moment clearly did not have an aha daddy. Because his stuff, if you had a father, a lot of his stuff you wouldn't even need to hear it.
Absolutely.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day, right? And
Absolutely.
so, as I understand, he did thousands of hours of speaking on camera, right? And so, sure, you can take a clip, a 20-second clip, and make it sound super negative, or you can take a 20-second clip and make it sound like he's for the culture and he's trying to build black families and things of that nature. And I guess it depends on the viewer and how much the viewer was able to watch, which, again, I didn't. That his delivery, the first time I saw was when he he got the woman to admit that she was a 4. I think that was the first video that went viral, right? And what really impacted me was at the end, he said something along the lines of, y'all make me sick, get off my line. And so that didn't make me think he was gay, but it did make me think that he had some resentment towards women, because he didn't just say you, he said y'all, you know what I mean? So he generalized the whole gender, and either he was a really, really, really great actor, or from what I could see, that he enjoyed being brutally honest.
He enjoyed
and sometimes people
paychecks.
enjoy the brutality. Well, I believe he kept doing it for the paychecks, but sometimes people do it but don't enjoy it. But when I was looking at his body language, and again, I don't profess to know him or anything like that, this is just me from the outside looking in, he seemed to enjoy the brutality. And as he became more popular, he started adding things to the brutality. He had some little sound effects on his computer that he would use to interrupt the women and things of that nature. And I saw a few of them that I knew were staged. That it was very, very.
That's what I always thought. I'm like, it has to be staged, because first of all, to me, what woman in her right mind continually calls in and you already know what's up?
Well, all people aren't in their right mind.
That's true too.
Maybe most.
And then that was the other part. The rest of them wasn't in their right mind. So anyway,
but also he knew his audience.
I think part of his stuff was that I don't give any validity or credibility to his whole entire platform. That's just me. There were some things that he said, like you said, a broke clock could be right twice a day. There were some things he said that, yes, made sense. But it's not anything that you or I haven't said before. Yeah. We've been doing this. You've been doing it longer than everybody. But, I've been in this game since 2011.
Yeah.
I've said a whole lot of stuff on VON and in Milwaukee and in all other places that I've gone and talked to, audiences or whatever. And y'all too has spoken many places. We've all said a lot of the same stuff years ago. What cracks me up, and then we do have to wrap up. That was the alarm to wrap up. But what cracks me up is somebody can say something now in 2025 that one of us said in 2012, and it go viral now. Like, what's up with this?
Even worse. I saw one of my posts go viral with no credit, right? I maybe got I maybe got 100 likes and maybe 1,000 engagement, and I saw my post getting 20,000, 30,000, 40,000.
Did Blair Nash do that to you? He has stolen.
I'm not naming any
names. He has stolen my post more than once. Every time I get in, because he won't give you no credit, and he has a real good follower. They participate on this stuff. He will steal your post, won't give you no credit for it, and just like you said, he won't even change no words. He will copy your post exactly and repost it and get 2,000 hits.
This guy told me, because this was around the Cat Williams time, he said, "I'm sad entertaining. I stole your joke, and I'm trying to monetize." And it wasn't a joke, but he was just using the metaphorically speaking, comparing said the entertainer, but no shame whatsoever. And if that brother's watching,
So I get on there and tell him off on the inbox every time.
Yeah, I didn't take any offense to it, but a lot of times I'll use in my post, instead of using all caps, every word will start with a capital letter like a sentence, and that's kind of how I can market without marketing, because I care more about the message getting out there than getting the credit. But yeah, they all took a screenshot and or copied and pasted. And so in closing, I guess my question is, and at first it was going to be about KS, but I think it should be about social media as a whole, especially you having been in this for 25 years, meaning you were around before social media got popular. From where you sit, and the question is for both of you, has social media had a positive impact? And I don't care if that's 50.00001% positive impact on the culture, romance, dating, relationships, and marriage, or do you think, from where you're sitting, or what you see, not even what you think, what you have observed is that social media has made it worse, and even if it's only 50.00001%?
Okay. So for me, and I'm going with straight facts, statistics, and behavior patterns, social media has been a benefit.
Okay.
So you might say, well, but Khalid, come on, look at all the fighting. You just said that you have to start the sister of the week because you saw men being negative. But look at my private practice. I'm booked solid with men. So what happens is, social media, we get to have a bigger audience. We get to socialize more. And we could have been the biggest nerds in the world. But now on social media, I can be the popular guy from high school, right? And so what happens is people are followers. People are followers, generally. So now that I'm hearing what two of my guys are doing therapy, well, let me give this therapy thing some traction. So now I got men calling me directly to now be in therapy, right? And I also tell people all the time, what you put out is what you will get. If you put out negativity, you will receive negativity. If you put out inspirational, motivational, uplifting things, you will primarily get it back. So that's when you said this, the percentage, that's why mine is 70-30. You know what I'm saying? And I'm protective of my social media because I'll let you keep acting up, and then I'll end up deleting you and blocking you, so you won't get this benefit again.
Khalid, if I may, what I believe that I just heard you say was more so addressing the micro, which is your circle. Are you able to climb up onto the balcony and look at the macro?
Yes.
And still back that up with statistics and make that same assessment?
Absolutely, because every clinician I know, and it's been stated too, that more people are in therapy post-pandemic than ever before, right?
So sometimes statistics can be very, very useful, and sometimes I think that they can be very deceiving, right? So the divorce rate has actually gone down, right? So you would think relationships and marriage are improving, right? But the cost of living has gone way up. And so some of those people are staying together because the relationship is good. And some of those people stay in a relationship because they can't afford to leave, right? And so, again, not challenging, but just trying to get people to look at some of the nuances of what is going on. And so I think social media is a powerful tool that has and can have very positive impacts on relationships and such. And also is a very powerful tool that can be used to be destructive.
Yes.
And so there are many men out here who are trying to discourage other men from caring about women, for doing for women, for protecting women, for being of service to women. And there are a lot of women who are out here making posts saying sis and basically discouraging you to be unpleasable.
Yeah.
Right? To never be satisfied, and no matter how much your man is doing and how well he's performing, there are some women who are encouraging those women to not be satisfied with just that and to look for some other area where he may be falling short. So I don't have the numbers. I suspect that it has helped some people and it has harmed some people. But when I look at, again, that monetization, the way it's influencing people, and people will be on a date and be creating all this content and not even being present in the date, it makes me think that even if it's just 50.00001, it's diminishing a lot of people's ability to interact, and it's diminishing people's ability to tune out the world and know what works for them, because so many posts come down a person's news feed, it can be psychological warfare. What's your take?
So before I give my take, I just want to ask our taping, our recording assistant over here, if we have any comments or questions that have come in.
How do you know it's the one?
How do you know when it's the one?
The right one, my answer is real short, will enhance you, advance you, and romance you. And I don't care if that's a man or a woman. If you're not, if the connection isn't enhancing you, it isn't advancing you, and you don't feel any romance, that is not the situation for you. That's my 2 cents.
I kind of like that little thing you just said. Enhance, advance, and romance.
Absolutely.
I kind of like that. So for me, the one is when you look at what you want your life to be and you listen, because you got to get to know people. You don't just look at somebody and be like, ooh, he the one, ooh, she the one. You have to know the person inside the body. There's a whole person inside there. And when you can see that person fit into what you envision your life to be, are they supportive? What are you, especially those of us who are entrepreneurs, having someone that's supportive is definitely a must, because we go through ups and downs, along the way until we hit that point where everything starts flowing. So definitely the supportive spouse, or mate, whatever that you want them to be. But the one looks like somebody that really fits. You don't have to, like Khalid said, you don't have to change them to be who you want them to, because you cannot change anyone. People have to want to change for themselves. Yes. And you should not feel pressured to change to be with someone. If somebody's pressuring you to change this, that, and the other, then they just need to go find somebody to come with this, that, and the other. So you have to be who you are. And that first comes with loving yourself. So to me, in order to find the right one, you first got to love your one, because otherwise you'll accept anything if you're looking for love from the outside. You don't have any love on the inside first. So that's my answer. How do you know who's the one? How do you know?
First of all, and how I always answer questions regarding to love and relationships, is first be in love with you. Have the greatest love affair with you first. Because when you have a standard, you will not negotiate that standard ever again. Mm-hmm. And then you will find someone who will complement your love. Mm-hmm. And that's it right there. I don't need you to fulfill me. I need you to complement what's already in place.
Right.
And that's it.
Not complete, but complement. I like
Absolutely.
that. So enhance, advance, romance, and compliment.
I think it's
2 Cancer men.
I think saying the same thing, right? I really think, being complimentary is what enhances you, advances you. Not them trying to fix you or nothing like that, but just them being complimentary.
You a Cancer too?
Absolutely. My birthday is July 3rd. I will be 25 for the second time in my life. 25 75 times 2, no, 50 years old, going to Aruba to celebrate. It's going
Nice.
down.
Yeah. Okay, and so I forgot what your question. Oh, I think that it's had a negative impact. I'm just gonna keep mine short and sweet. I think it's had a negative impact because people are able to get on social media and vent all of that. And so you have our younger people listening to it. You know, a lot of our younger people don't even want to get married. Marriage rates are dropping. So, you know, I think it's definitely had a negative impact, and then spreading all of that venom, you know, against women against men, men against women. You got people that are just sitting in there. I see women sometimes hop on posts and they be so venomous. I'll be like, good Lord, girl, what? You probably are actually a lesbian because you do not like men at all.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
But
that's just what I be
a lot of
thinking.
people aren't familiar. They're familiar with misogyny, but they're not familiar with the term misandry, the concept of misandry. But that is when there's deep-rooted resentment and hatred towards men in general, and that is definitely a thing.
Oh, it's definitely a thing. It's definitely. I have to admit, sometimes there's a couple of them that I read their stuff, right? And sometimes they will hop on the post and go in on men, and I be sitting there like, oh, a little bit of it be true, but you know, just be cracking up.
I don't know how I knew
the
she
rest
was gonna
of
say that.
You got to throw a little bit of something everybody can latch onto, so they'll read the post and continue. And so she'll have a little bit of truth there, but then she will blow everything else up beyond anything I ever recognized or knew to be true.
Right.
So, all right, well, we are going to wrap up. Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed my ebony and ivory. Hey, and just make because it's backward on the screen. And Yatu and Khalid, thanks again for another great show. You guys make sure that you catch us on Spotify. Of course, we're on YouTube. You can also catch the shows on Xavier Fox Media and Events. And then if you want to listen to some online internet radio, theastutegentleman.com. You can find all of that on my website, xavierfox.com. Check us out on there. Until next time, peace.
Peace. Let's talk about it.